Hey, welcome to the Trash Picture Show. In 2001, Jurassic Park 3 came out, and it was an unmitigated disappointment. What went wrong? Well, I think the first misstep was the director, Joe Johnston. He had previously directed The Rocketeer and was good friends with Steven Spielberg. Spielberg done The Lost World Jurassic Park, and he handed over the franchise to Joe Johnston, who he had worked with prior. I think Johnston had storyboarded and done models for Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Johnston was a competent director, and while some of his movies, such as The Wolfman, were a bit lackluster, Captain America the First Avenger had a very fun pulp feel. I think The Rocketeer, his experiences with The Rocketeer, helped with that movie. This movie, I think he was definitely out of his depth. The plot, which I think was throwaway, it was essentially a rescue mission. It was like something you'd see on the Sci-Fi Channel on a weekend. It was very bargain bin. I also thought it looked very cheap. The visual effects were really subpar in comparison to the last two movies. The CG was good, but it just didn't hold a candle up to the prior ones. And while Stan Winston was behind the animatronics of this movie, a lot of the creatures, especially the Spinosaur, which was the new big bad of this movie, looked like an animatronic creature in a theme park ride rather than an actual animal. Getting on to the cast and the characters and the plot, essentially, we have Alan Grant returning, played fantastically by Sam Neill. Sam Neill is actually one of the better aspects of this movie, and he, along with his understudy Billy Brennan, played by Alessandro Nivola, are hired by a couple called the Kirbys to join them on a kind of safari flight over Isla Nublar, and you later find out that the Kirbys aren't all they're cracked up to be. It turns out they're not there as philanthropists. They're on a mission to rescue their son, and they claim to be millionaires, but they weren't. The Kirbys themselves, William H. Macy is tolerable. He's funny, but he's more bumbling as Paul Kirby. His wife, Amanda Kirby, played by Tia Leone, is kind of just. I was hoping she'd get fucking eaten. Who else? There's a couple of mercenaries peppered in for good measure. The only real standout one is Mr. Udetsky, played by Michael Jedder. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's a fantastic actor, and he's pretty good in this. You might have remembered him from movies such as The Fisher King and The Green Mile. Going back to the story, the characters arrive on the island and they find out that there is a new super predator on the island, the Spinosaur. The whole marketing of the movie kind of relayed and kind of pushed forward this idea of this new kind of super predator, and Spinosaurus, according to paleontological records, was actually more superior than T-Rex, and he was more of a hunter, while later kind of finds proved that T-Rex was a scavenger. But I just think he just came across more of a kind of marauding monster than a dinosaur. There was a majesticness to the T-Rex, which the Spinosaur didn't have, and a lot of people were pissed off that the T-Rex was slain by the Spinosaur, I think 15 or 20 minutes into the movie. Other plot developments were that there was a new tribe of raptors, and they had better communication and vocalization. Their intelligence had peaked from prior movies. There is kind of a MacGuffin kind of incident where at the paleontological site that Grant is working at, he has this 3D printer that prints off a vocal resonator from a velociraptor, and that later comes into play in order to help them survive an encounter with the raptors. Just it wasn't a great movie. It was a rather disappointing movie. I remember going to see it, and I think I was about maybe 17 at the time, and even then I was disappointed. Um, is there any good aspects? As I said before, Sam Neill is awesome. Some of the visual effects are good, especially with the raptors. I think their animatronics and their CG was the best. But I think the standout and more redeeming part of it is the Avery sequence, which seems to have been taken from the original Jurassic Park novel, where the characters end up in this giant kind of aviary birdcage, and they're attacked by pteranodons and pterodactyls. And I think this is where a majority of the budget went, and it looks cool. It looks beautiful. You've a fantastic mix of both practical creatures and CG creatures, and there is a sense of jeopardy. And the pterodactyls are rather spooky, but by and large, it's a forgettable flick. It's only an hour and a half long, which I also found very disappointing. Kind of wafting back to the whole Sci-Fi Channel kind of movie. It didn't have the majesty or the scope of the other Jurassic Park movies. If you're a purist or a fan, which I am to an extent, do pick it up. If you can pick it up cheap, you'll knock an hour and a half out of it, and you'll get a bit of enjoyment, but you'll forget about it in like a day. I don't have any kind of new Jurassic Park comics at the moment. I do intend on getting them, but if you are a comic book fan and a dinosaur fan, I do suggest checking out Barry Sonnenfeld's Dinosaurs vs. Aliens. It's written by Grant Morrison, and I just check out the artist here. The artist is Mukesh Sai, and it's edited by Liquid Studios. The art in it is actually pretty beautiful. There's some really nice artwork here in the comic, and if you get a chance, definitely pick it up, because it is a magnificent looking book, and it kind of plays the idea of kind of the cavalry wiping out the Native Americans. So you've these aliens coming to Earth and just causing the extinction of the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs themselves have to kind of stand up to these marauding aliens. It's pretty cool. The story is by Barry Sonnenfeld. It's the guy behind Men in Black. So if you get a chance, definitely check out that comic. It's well worth a read. Yeah, if you're a fan of dinosaurs and you are a Jurassic Park purist, maybe give Jurassic Park 3 a look, but it's not a movie to kind of sing and dance about. It's kind of a low point for the franchise. So, my name's Martin. This has been the Trash Picture Show. Like, subscribe, and yeah, have a good one. Take care. Bye now.